As Maya Tyson, Mike Tyson's 19-year-old daughter, drove to the market to pick up snacks for their movie night, a racist police officer spotted her, his eyes filled with prejudice. The officer approached Maya, calling her a troublemaker. As she tried to brush him off and walk away, the officer threw a vicious punch to her left cheek, sending her tumbling to the ground. Unaware that he had just awakened the wrath of a legendary boxing champion, the story took a dramatic turn when Mike Tyson arrived at the scene, ready to unleash his protective fury. Subscribe and like this video to see how the story unfolds. It was a warm, sunny morning in a peaceful suburban neighborhood, with the sun casting a gentle embrace over the community. In this slice of tranquility, Mike Tyson, the former world-class boxer, now enjoying a quieter life, relished the time spent with his close-knit family, especially his 19-year-old daughter Maya, whose presence brought life to the Tyson household during the summer break. At the bustling market, Maya embarked on her mission to gather fresh produce for her family's well-being. Her family's well-being was a top priority, and her upbeat, confident personality, a reflection of her strong lineage, was balanced by the warmth and compassion she had inherited from her father. Before venturing into the busy crowd of shoppers, Maya shared a quick hug with her father, a warm gesture that spoke volumes about their close-knit, affectionate bond. With a cheerful smile, Maya said, "I'll be back soon, Dad. How about I grab some snacks for our movie night? Popcorn, soda, or maybe chips and dip?" This thoughtful offer, combined with her sunny disposition, left a lasting impression on Mike's heart. Mike's laughter filled the air as he responded, "Surprise me, Maya, but don't take too long. I might get bored without you around." The playful exchange between father and daughter was a testament to the lively bond they shared, one that had withstood the test of time and life's challenges. As Maya parked her car amidst the hustle and bustle of the market, she set off to find the freshest fruits and vegetables for her family. In the midst of her shopping, her gaze fell upon a familiar figure. Maya's eyes landed on a familiar figure, Officer Riley, known for his abrasive behavior and marred by allegations of racial discrimination. His reputation had preceded him. Officer Riley, his gaze hardened by scorn and malice, watched Maya from a distance as she chatted with a vendor. The friendly exchange between Maya and the merchant only seemed to deepen the officer's already grim expression. Without provocation, he began to approach her, his steps growing louder as he moved closer and closer. Officer Riley's venomous snarl twisted his lips. He barked, "Got yourself a permit to be loitering around here?" His words, dripping with contempt, hung in the air. The disdain he felt toward Maya was unmistakable in the tone of his voice. Maya, however, remained calm and composed in the face of Riley's offensive approach. She responded, "Excuse me, I'm just shopping like everyone else." Her voice, tranquil and unwavering, spoke volumes about her resolute spirit, a spirit that refused to be intimidated by his hostile demeanor. Officer Riley, his anger simmering, jabbed at Maya with more insulting words, his voice rising. Officer Riley's indignation flared as he hissed, "Don't get smart with me." His gaze burned into Maya. "People like you always think you're above the rules. You think you can just walk in here and do whatever you want." Maya, her jaw clenched, met his gaze head-on, refusing to be intimidated. Caught in an uncomfortable situation, Maya, ever the diplomat, tried to diffuse the tension by turning away, seeking to distance herself from Officer Riley's malice. However, Riley, his simmering anger now reaching a boiling point, stepped into her path, his imposing frame blocking her exit. Maya's voice, tight with apprehension, pleaded, "Please let me pass." "I've done nothing wrong." Riley's body was rigid with hostility as he sneered, "Oh, you've done nothing wrong? Then why are you trying to run away?" His brows furrowed as he issued a demand, his voice dripping with authority. "Let me see some ID now." Maya, caught off guard by the unexpected turn of events, fumbled in her purse for her identification. Riley's impatience mounted as he growled, "Hurry up." "Don't make me repeat myself." Sensing the looming threat of injustice, Maya gathered her inner strength, her voice filled with steady resolve as she responded. With steely conviction, Maya replied, "I'm not doing anything wrong, officer. You're harassing me. You're abusing your power. I've done nothing to warrant this treatment." Officer Riley, undeterred, leaned in closer, his face mere inches from hers. His voice, low and menacing, rumbled, "You want to make this difficult? I can make this very difficult for you." As the flames of Riley's anger ignited into a raging inferno, the tension in the air became palpable. The murmurs of the surrounding shoppers grew louder, their hushed whispers hinting at the growing unease that was enveloping the market. Maya, aware of the dangerous turn her situation had taken, reached for her phone. Determined to capture the injustice unfolding before her, her movements were swift and assured, betraying none of the fear that churned in her stomach. "I'm recording this," she said, her voice clear and unwavering. Riley's face twisted into a snarl, his eyes gleaming with fury. "Put that phone down," he hissed, his voice dripping with venom. "You don't want this to go any further." Maya, unfazed by his threats, held her phone steady, her gaze unwavering and steely. Unflinching, Maya remained resolute in her defiance, her grip on the phone unwavering. It was a symbol of her determination not to back down. In response, Riley's patience snapped. He lunged toward Maya, his hand darting out to seize the phone. In one brutal motion, he ripped the device from her grasp and sent it crashing to the ground. The shattering of its screen echoed through the air. The shock of the moment sent a surge of adrenaline coursing through Maya's veins, and her voice rose in protest. "You can't do that! You're a police officer! You're supposed to protect people, not assault them!" Riley's eyes narrowed, his fury intensifying. "I told you to put that phone down. You didn't listen." His voice was cold, filled with disdain. "And now you're going to pay for what you've done." In a horrifying display of uncontrolled rage, Riley struck Maya with a vicious blow to the side of her face, sending her reeling backward. The force of the punch knocked her off her feet, her body crumpling to the ground with a sickening thud. The sound of Maya's fall seemed to freeze time. The horrified gasps of onlookers reverberated through the market. Maya, dazed and wounded, clutched her face in pain. "Please, someone help me," she pleaded. Riley's voice, a low growl, followed. "No one's going to help you." The brutality of Riley's attack snapped the witnesses out of their stunned silence, their anger at the injustice stirring them into action. A bystander, fueled by righteous indignation, stepped forward to intervene, his voice rising above the murmurs of the crowd. "Hey, you can't do that! She's just a kid! Leave her alone!" the bystander shouted. Riley, spinning around, his anger flaring, growled, "Stay out of this, or you'll be next!" The shock of the assault still reverberated through Maya's body, her mind struggling to process the reality of what had just transpired. With trembling hands, she held her cheek, the tenderness and swelling serving as evidence of the violence that had been unleashed upon her. Her eyes, brimming with tears, locked onto Riley's enraged form. The cold truth of the situation slowly dawned on her. Maya's voice was barely a whisper. "Why are you doing this?" Riley's words, as cold and cruel as his fists, sliced through the air, his contempt for Maya palpable in his tone. His gaze, like a piercing blade, locked onto her. Riley's voice dripped with venom as he sneered, "Maybe this will teach you some respect, little girl. Next time you think about standing up to a police officer, you'll think twice." His words hung in the air, thick with contempt, as he glared down at her. Maya, her fists clenching at her sides, felt her pulse race with a mixture of fear and fury. Her voice trembled, but she stood her ground, meeting his gaze with unwavering defiance. "Respect?" she snapped, the words escaping her lips like a challenge. "You're the one who's completely lost it. You assaulted me. You think I should respect you after everything you've done? You're the one who deserves nothing but contempt." Meanwhile, at the Tyson household, Mike savored the tranquility of a quiet day at home. Suddenly, his phone, resting on the coffee table, chirped to life, a single notification disrupting the peaceful stillness. Mike glanced at his phone, curious about the message. As he picked up the device, the sound of an agitated, panting voice spilled through the receiver. The witness's words, urgent and grave, cut through Mike like a knife. His heart lurched, panic seizing him in its icy grip. Witness: Mr. Tyson, listen to me. Your daughter has been assaulted by a police officer at the market. You need to get here right now. Mike's voice trembled with fear as he asked, What? Who's the officer? Is Maya okay? Witness: Officer Riley, sir. In an instant, the serene facade of Mike Tyson shattered. The primal fury that once fueled his boxing career roared back to life. Without hesitation, the fury that once fueled Mike Tyson's boxing career roared back to life. He snatched his keys from the table, gripping the metal so tightly that his knuckles turned white. His voice, a low growl, whispered Riley's name. The thought of his daughter's assailant echoed in his mind, igniting a firestorm of rage that propelled him out the door. His movements were fluid and predatory, like a panther on the hunt. As Mike sped into the market, the scene that greeted him was one of chaos and concern. Maya, his beloved daughter, sat on the curb, her face marred by a bruise that pulsed with the pain of Riley's assault. Tears glistened on her cheeks, a stark contrast to the fierce resilience she had shown only moments ago. The crowd surrounding her was a mixture of shock, anger, and sympathy. Some offered comforting words, while others railed against the injustice that had unfolded before them. Mike's eyes blazed with fury as he approached, his gaze fixed on Maya. Maya, are you okay? He asked, his voice thick with concern, every word weighed down by the fear of what he had just seen. Before Maya could respond, the sneering figure of Officer Riley emerged from the sea of onlookers. His twisted smirk cut through the air, a taunt in the face of the rising tension. Riley's eyes, filled with contempt, locked onto Mike, and his voice dripped with malice as he spat. What's the matter, Tyson? You finally decided to step in? You really think you can intimidate me? Riley's voice dripped with disdain as he sneered. This your daddy? Guess disrespect runs in the family. The words hung in the air, a noxious vapor that enraged Mike. He stood tall, his presence looming over Riley like a titan over an insect. His voice trembled with barely restrained fury as he demanded, What the hell did you do to my daughter? Emboldened by the volatile atmosphere, Riley played the role of the provocateur with relish, his words a malicious spark to Mike's already raging fire. Riley's mocking laughter curdled the air. She needed to learn a lesson. And maybe you do too, Tyson. You think you can intimidate me? You're a washed-up has-been. The crowd, sensing the rapidly escalating situation, began to disperse, clearing a path for the brewing confrontation. Fueled by misplaced confidence, Riley launched his attack with a wild haymaker. But Mike, his reactions honed by a lifetime in the ring, slipped the punch effortlessly. His body moved with the fluid grace of a predator. Riley's face contorted in frustration. Damn it! His would-be assault petered out into a fruitless swing, his futile attempt at intimidation falling flat. Mike's poise and agility dashed Riley's confidence. His voice, chillingly devoid of emotion, delivered a promise of retribution that sent shivers down Riley's spine. Mike's gaze was like shards of ice as he said, Wrong move, Riley. A hush fell over the square, the tension palpable as Mike, the former heavyweight champion, towered over the cowering officer. His voice, dripping with menace, spoke with an unmistakable resolve. You're going to pay for what you've done. In a single devastating motion, Mike's fist lashed out. The force of his blow, amplified by years of training and a father's righteous fury, struck Riley with the power of a thunderclap. The impact sent Riley stumbling backward, the shock of the punch reverberating through the crowd. The spectators, sensing the tide of justice about to crest, erupted into wild cheers. Their voices rose in a chorus of support for the fallen champion's retribution. Some, drawn to the spectacle, seized their phones, capturing the moment on camera, immortalizing the sight of Mike Tyson rising from his self-imposed retirement to defend his daughter. Riley, a smoldering mix of fury and humiliation churning within him, lashed out with his baton. Riley's eyes, brimming with desperation, widened as he swung his baton. But Mike, moving with a speed that belied his age, blocked the blow with the finesse of a master. The metallic clash of the baton against Mike's forearm rang out like a challenge, spurring Mike into action. With a flurry of movements, he unleashed a volley of expertly placed jabs that struck Riley's chest, his arms, and his jaw. Riley gasped for air. "Enough," Mike said, his eyes ablaze with steely resolve as he stood his ground. His voice was a grim promise of punishment. His voice, deep and commanding, sliced through the air. "You think you can hurt my family and get away with it? Not today." The words, spoken with the weight of a reckoning, hung in the air. Mike drew himself to his full height, his shoulders squared. The lines of his body spoke to the lethal strength within him. His fists clenched, ready to strike. "It's time for you to answer for your actions." The inevitable outcome became a brutal symphony of bone-crunching blows. Mike's fists struck like a hammer against an anvil. Riley, outmatched in both strength and skill, staggered and fell. The sheer force of Mike's blows left Riley crumpled on the ground. Mike's fury was unrelenting in its devastation. Soon, the battle was over. Riley lay crumpled on the ground, a bruised and broken figure. His defeat stood as a testament to Mike's overwhelming power. Mike, panting, his chest heaving, looked down at him. "You picked the wrong person to mess with," he muttered. In the aftermath of the confrontation, the cries of approaching sirens sliced through the air, heralding the arrival of reinforcements. 2 squad cars screeched to a halt, their tires sending up a cloud of dust. The officers, their expressions grave and assessing, surveyed the scene. The crowd, still gathered, pointed to their phones eagerly, showing the recorded evidence of Riley's assault on Maya. Officer number 2 stepped forward with steely resolve and locked eyes with Riley, whose prone form trembled in the dirt. "You know, Riley," the officer said, his voice uncompromising, "you're under arrest for assault and misconduct. You're coming with us." Riley protested weakly. "He attacked me." The lead officer shot Riley a withering glare, his skepticism plain to see. "We have video evidence," the lead officer said dismissively. "Evidence that says otherwise," the lead officer stated firmly. Riley's protests fell on deaf ears, his feigned ignorance crumbling beneath the weight of the irrefutable proof. The officers swiftly bound his wrists with cold steel cuffs. The clink of metal against metal resonated with a finality that Riley could not deny. As he was led away by the officers, his pleas devolved into petulant curses, his rage boiling beneath the surface. The sight of his disheveled form being escorted from the scene in disgrace was met with the stoic silence of the crowd. Their stony expressions were a silent condemnation of his actions. Turning away from the departing Riley, Mike's eyes found their way to Maya. His expression softened at the sight of his daughter. Without a word, he pulled her into his arms, enveloping her in a protective embrace. The strength of their connection was palpable to those who bore witness. Maya, overcome by a tumult of emotions, buried her face into her father's chest. Her body racked with sobs, her gratitude, her love, her relief. All of it poured from her in a torrent of tears. Maya, her voice choked with emotion, whispered, "Thank you, Dad." Mike, his words filled with unwavering resolve, spoke softly. "No one messes with my family. Ever." Mike's voice, unwavering, broke the silence that had descended upon the market square. "No one messes with my family. Ever." His declaration was met with a murmur of assent from the onlookers. His status as a community hero was reaffirmed in the face of injustice. In the aftermath of the altercation, the crowd's resounding applause reverberated through the square, the sound and affirmation of Mike's courage and the community's solidarity like a wave of support. The crowd cheered and clapped as Mike and Maya rose from the ground, their bond stronger than ever. "Tyson! Tyson! Tyson!" the crowd shouted in unison. Maya, her cheeks damp with tears, looked up at her father. "You're a hero, Dad," she whispered. Within hours, the footage of the incident spread like wildfire, the viral nature of social media catapulting Mike and Maya's story to the forefront of public discourse. The damning evidence of Riley's brutality was met with swift and decisive action. His fate was sealed by the unforgiving court of public opinion. Riley, stripped of his badge and reduced to a pariah, found himself on the receiving end of a criminal investigation as he was led away in handcuffs. His reputation shattered. Riley's handcuffed form was met with the gleeful jeers of those he had once terrorized, following him like a bitter reminder of his fall from grace. The scene slowly faded out of the marketplace, the tumult of the day's events giving way to the tranquil evening at the Tyson residence. The familiar surroundings exuded warmth and comfort, a sanctuary for Mike and Maya in the wake of the ordeal. They sat side by side on the couch, a movie playing softly on the television. Maya, still shaken by the events of the day, leaned into her father's embrace, finding solace in his strength and protection. With a hint of levity returning to her tone, Maya broke the silence, her smile curling mischievously as she playfully nudged her father in the ribs. "Hey, so remember those snacks for movie night?" she teased. "I'm starting to think you were just looking for an excuse to avoid spending time with me." Mike returned her smile, his arm draped around her shoulders. "Oh, really? Sounds like someone's fishing for a special treat. What do you think, Maya?" Popcorn, the scene in its quiet simplicity, was a testament to the strength of their bond, the love and peace that had been restored after the chaos. The enduring love and resilience of a family were evident as the camera slowly pulled back, capturing the warmth of the flickering television, the cozy furnishings, and the comfort of the embrace shared between Mike and Maya. The audience, privy to the events of the day, bore witness to a moment of peace, a respite from the turmoil of the world outside. In this moment, they were given a glimpse into the essence of what truly matters: the strength of the human spirit, the power of love, and the unbreakable bonds of family.